This is the all-new Honda Passport, the SUV that wants to be a Bronco on the weekend and a CR-V during the week. Back in the 90s, Honda introduced the Honda Passport for the first time, but it was a rebadged Isuzu Rodeo, and they sold it as the Honda Passport. It was in the market under 2000s, and then they brought it back in 2019, and it didn't get, well, a new generation till this year. This one here, the 2026 Honda Passport. And this thing over here is one of my favorite SUVs. Okay, let's try this. Here we go. Man, that went far. That's gonna be a walk. Okay, I gotta go and get the ball, man. Similar to me trying to learn golf, awkward at first, but kind of getting the hang of it, Honda is trying to play in the off-road league with the Passport Trailsport Touring. In Canada and the US, the sales of the Passport have slowly declined. One of the reasons is because the vehicle has been the same since 2019. So it was time for Honda to introduce a new generation Honda Passport. And they have packed this thing with tech features and amazing trims. Let's start first with the exterior design. The first thing I thought of when I saw this, Bronco Sport, just bigger, way bigger. And I'm gonna say this, if you're a Honda engineer designer that worked on this, I'll give you 10 out of 10. Because with this Trailsport touring package, in some ways it's the perfect SUV. And with the front end, for example, now it's more boxy, not as curvy, not as round. I love that. I love the amber headlights, the daylight running lights. And of course, with the Trailsport, the idea behind this is to be sort of your off-roader, not heavy, maybe beginner to intermediate. This is not your Bronco or your 4Runner TRD Pro. Don't expect that kind of SUV. This is your day-to-day with some mild off-roading. That's exactly what this is. The bottom part, good news, you've got the recovery hooks painted in orange so that you'll know if you're stuck somewhere, you'll see them right away. I love that. We've got fog lights this time. I absolutely love the headlights on this thing. Really nice job. And then we've got the badge at the front that says Passport. Very visible to the people that you're following behind. And this one has got a front camera, which also has a sprinkler at the front. In case if it gets dirty, you can actually clean it. You have the skid plate underneath to protect it when you go off-roading. Again, that off-road package that the Trailsport offers. Now, one thing I will say is that what you see in here is not functional. This is just there for looks. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the Nissan Pathfinder Rock Creek. It had similar sort of vent, but non-functional. Absolutely love what they've done. The Trailsport badge on the side there telling you that this is not just a standard Passport. This color, not really my favorite, but I will say that the orange one was my favorite. I saw one in person today at Honda's headquarters, and I think that's probably my choice. I kind of like bright colors. This is more hidden, a more light color for people that don't like flashy cars. What we have on the side profile is a completely redesigned Passport, including, for the first time ever, 31-inch tires, off-road tires with the Trailsport. And you get 2 exclusive paint choices for the Trailsport package, which is this ash green metallic and the sunset orange, which I gotta admit, that's my favorite choice. Now they've got this plastic piece on top of it, so if you go off-roading, they'll protect the fender. Protects it also from rust, which is nice. And then we've got this side skirt here in plastic, because in case, again, you go off-roading, it protects the side of the vehicle. At the top, with the Trailsport, you get the actual rails, in case you want to put a roof box on this bad boy. We got glossy finish side mirrors with the indicator, and with the Trailsport, you get the option to lock the vehicle from the front door and the back door. All you have to do is just tap it. Love that. Moving on to this side over here, the first thing you notice is the larger third window, which again, this is where I see a bit of that Bronco Sport, just larger. I love it though, gives you great visibility. And then moving on to the rear end, there's a bit of that Bronco Sport here too, especially the tail lights are kind of like the same as the Bronco Sport. They're like flush design, but this one has that daylight running brake light in form of a T, a letter T in this case, which is large, and it's something like a lot of automakers are doing right now to make them distinct, although this one doesn't get very distinct. Then we've got a flat rear windshield, which I will admit, I think they should have added a split option where you open it. I think that would have made this thing even better, just with the Trailsport, because if you go off-roading, you don't really want to open this thing, you want access to this, and I think that would have made a huge difference. The next thing is that the actual wiper is located here, but the sprinkler is located right at the top. And I think they did that because if you spray from top to bottom, you get a better chance of wiping this thing if you go off-roading and it gets filthy. If you do from this way, you also get a chance of having the sprinkles stuck with like mud or something like that. Then we've got the Honda badge in the center. Now, one thing you notice here is that compared to the front end, it has a similar stamped on Passport logo, so people that are following you from behind, they know this is the Passport. And we've got the Trailsport. In the front is located to the left, in the back is located to the right side. Not sure why they did that. And then we have this painted diffuser in this case, and this comes with a towing capability option, the tow package. Now, let's talk about the space itself. The first thing is that you've got a couple of options. You can press this button here, it opens the tailgate, or you can slide your foot under here in the middle and it opens automatically, which gives you access to the cargo area, which for this year is slightly larger, especially because the way this thing is designed in the back, it's a bit more square, so that gives you actual space in terms of the height and width. But what I love about this cargo area, it's not necessarily the space, is the features that it offers. The first thing you notice that it's got these side pockets that you can put in things that you don't want to move and slide when you go a little bit off-roading, for example. You want something that's nicely tucked in. And then you can fold the seats 60-40, so that gives you the best access. And what I also love about this vehicle is that you get a spare tire, which in most off-roaders is located under here. This one has it hidden inside. Now that could be a good thing and a bad thing. The bad thing is that you don't get enough space. But the good thing is that if you had it underneath, well, you reduce the departure angle, because now the tire is hanging at the back, so you're going to rub it somewhere. So I think they thought about that and said, you know what, let's just put it in there. Next thing is that this is foldable like a book. So to get access to the tire, it's on the right side. And then you have a hidden compartment underneath, which in this case, I put in the mats for summertime, because right now it has rubber mats. And then you have the larger windows on each side. On top of that, they've included 115 volt charge. So if you go camping and you need access to that voltage, it's right here in the back. And the last part is the hands-free tailgate. So you've got a button located onto the side here. You press that and then you walk away and it closes automatically. Jumping into the second row, let's talk about the door panel first. First thing you notice that this has sunshade, which is nice with this package. We've got a lot of cup holders here. You can put a couple of cups and a bottle of water, and you've got even more space. And then you have this little carbon finish trim with the silver at the top, which is a nice touch, and this leather. So it actually looks a bit more premium than before. And as I said, you can fold the seats 60-40. You jump inside, and here we go. You get a bit more space overall on the inside because the vehicle is actually larger right now. It's got a larger wheelbase and so on, and even length and width. But with this package, we've got this brown and black mix leather interior with the brown stitching all around, which is nice. But what I appreciate about this interior is the fact that in the middle, you don't get that hump they usually see like a camel in the middle. It's all flat all the way through. And this one comes with the Trailsport rubber mats, which are kind of nice and handy, especially if you go off-roading. You just take it off and then shake it off completely. Tech features. First thing you notice, it has a panoramic roof all the way across with this package. We have 115 volts of power in the center, similar to the back, and 2 USB-C ports in case if you want to charge your phones for passenger in the back. We've got a climate unit in the back here, which is a single one, and you can change the temperature. You have heated seats for both sides. You also have the option to change the fan speeds and where the air is pointed, which is nice and handy. We've got the air vents at the top and more for the feet underneath. Now, in terms of space, as a passenger, I'm 6'2". The seat in the front is set as if I was the driver. In fact, I've given myself a little bit more space in the front, and I still get quite a lot of leg room and amazing headroom overall. On top of that, if your phone is bothering you, what you can do, there's these little pockets here that you can use probably for your kids. Slide your phone in there, and now you can watch TikToks or Instagram or my YouTube videos in this case, and it slides right in. There's also another pocket onto this side. Now, let's jump in the front. When you jump into the front, the first thing you notice is the redesigned portion here of the door panel, which now includes extra compartment. You can put your cups in there, and what's beeping, it's actually the daylight running light. You jump in and you're welcomed by this introduction from the cluster and a redesigned interior, but yet very similar to what's out there. Like, for example, the Honda Pilot, which is one that shares the chassis with this vehicle. The interior is not too different to the Pilot, but there is some differences if you look carefully. First thing, we've got a redesigned steering wheel. This is new for this year, for this trim. We've got a Trailsport badge on the bottom of the steering wheel, including the nice stitching all across. We've got a massive screen for the infotainment. I believe this is a 13-14-inch screen, which is big enough. In the center has the Passport letters so that when people jump in, it says Passports. On top of that, we do have the Trailsport stitching on the headrest. Nice little touch, a different experience overall. Digital cluster in this case, which you can customize to whatever you want it. And we've got buttons, which I'm a big fan of. The first thing I'm going to do is slide my phone to charge into the wireless charging pad, and then the key, which has its own spot, and I am set to continue this review. First thing you notice is the center part where we have the climate unit. We've got buttons. You have ventilated seats for both passenger and driver side. Both passenger and driver get powered seats in the front with adjustability. And then you've got the option to lock the rear climate unit in case if you have kids that you don't want them to play around. You've got the knobs that you can adjust the fan speed, the temperature, and the position, which is great. The next thing is that you have the infotainment display, which is now new for this year, larger screen. It's the new user interface, and they've removed the side buttons they usually find in Hondas. In this case, it's all touch screen. You go into the main menu, you've got a bunch of icons. It has Google Maps built in, but you can also use your Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. This one comes with a 360 camera, and not just that, it does have like a front view when you go off-roading. And when you go into Trailsport, when you go into trail mode, the camera turns into sort of like a watch camera now that shows you the front as you move. That way you get the best visibility in the front and in the back. And if it does get dirty, you can actually clean it from inside the front camera. The audio system in this case, it is powered by Bose, and you can adjust to whatever you'd like it to. You got Bose Center Point, which essentially does a simulated surround sound. You can change the zones in case if you have kids, for example. You can also change where you want the audio to be played mostly. Moving on to the cluster over here, we've got a lot to go through. The first thing is that On the left side, you can change the settings to have it to what you want it to, like FM, your phone, Alexa, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, and so on. You can also do the elevation, so it shows you where you're going to compass and the elevation if you go off-roading. On the right side, it gives you pitch and roll, all-wheel drive, torque distribution, so you can see where the power is going mostly if you're stuck somewhere, so you know where the problem is, and also pitch and roll, so you have a better idea where you're going, and that way you don't get stuck anywhere. You can change you got your maintenance, tire pressure, which is great to have if you go off-roading as well, your safety support for driver assistant package, again, great for on-roads, and a bunch of other settings that you have seen before. The cluster is fully digital with some analog for the engine temperature and the fuel level. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is sand, because around here we are in sand. And here we go, sand mode is on, so we should be good. Traction is off in this one. We're gonna put into drive mode. There's no need for sport because I can't really go that fast. And we've got the pitch and roll on. And here we go, let's go and have some fun. First of all, we're gonna go up this hill to see how this new all-wheel drive system that they tuned for the Trailsport with the 31-inch grabber all-terrain tires. Not bad. So here's what we got under the hood. A new engine for the Trailsports, for the new Passport, which is a 3.5 liter V6, naturally aspirated, no 4-cylinder. Whoop, it's rubbing on the front. And this one makes 280 brake horsepower, 265 pound-feet of torque. It is a 10-speed automatic transmission. It is all-wheel drive. It shares a lot with the Honda Pilot. Now, one thing that you need to keep in mind with this vehicle, this is not your TRD Pro 4Runner. This is a unibody. It's not a body on frame like the TRD Pro, which can do better articulation. This one, it's for intermediate to mild or very beginner off-roading. You will do great, you will not get stuck, you'll be very confident, but don't expect this thing to tackle terrain the same way as the TRD Pro. And rightly so, they're not aiming for that, otherwise they would have used body on frame, which Honda doesn't really have that. They've always been sort of in this portion. Like one of the things that you notice, like I don't have in this case the available tools that you get in a TRD Pro, the 4Runner. I don't even have the available departure angle and approach angle that you get on the TRD Pro. This is not the best for that. In fact, I'm rubbing around here, and I was here with the TRD Pro 2 days ago. Didn't feel that. This one is grabbing on. The suspension, it is tuned for off-roading, Honda says. The transmission as well. The transmission is also tuned for better performance. In fact, it is 40% stronger than before to handle the torque and 30% faster, says Honda. How does it feel? It feels smooth around here. The suspension system is quite capable around, but don't expect any Baja style with this vehicle because it's not going to do that. It's actually far from that. And the approach and departure angle is not quite the best with this vehicle because the way it's designed, and it is an SUV. The good news is that you get this little camera in the front, this watch trail camera, trail watch that gives you the best visibility, so that way you don't hit any giant potholes. Now, this is where I usually rub on. Yeah, I don't feel confident enough around here to do what I did with the 4Runner. Come on, Honda, you can do it. There we go. Now, if I had gone fast, I would have gotten this thing stuck in there, which did pretty well. It's not the most capable, but it does great. It's handles itself very well around here. All you have to do is drive as slow as possible so that you don't get stuck and you also don't damage the suspension, because you don't have Fox suspension here. Still, your independent suspension system you'd find in the standard vehicle, but it's very capable if you know how to drive. It's not idiot-proof by any means. If you don't know how to off-road, you shouldn't be taking this off-roading, because it's not going to handle the same way as you would with other, like the Bronco, for example. This is your Bronco sport vehicle that can do some off-roading. Now let's try that technology on this one. First of all, I've got the downhill assist. No need for brake hold. Downhill assist is on, and you can change the speed. Okay, it's at 3 kilometers an hour, and it's doing its job. Here we go. Down we go. Nice and easy. I'm pressing. There we go. 3 kilometers an hour. Brakes are doing the job. Perfect. Exactly what you'd expect from this vehicle. And the downhill assist is off. In sport mode, sport transmission, it drives like a 3.5 liter V6 naturally aspirated and makes under 300 horsepower. Don't expect anything crazy. What you want to know is how it drives with this setup. Most people would expect a bit of an uncomfortable ride. Not in this one. It's actually very, very smooth on the road. With this suspension system, it's pretty enjoyable. The tires don't make a lot of road noise. That's one thing when you go into like the off-road tires, like all-terrain, something for rugged driving, is that road noise. You don't hear it as much. It's actually very quiet. It's well isolated on the inside, which is something you want. Otherwise, if you drive a Bronco, for example, you know what I mean. You hear everything, the wind noise. Not in this. It does a really good job to give you the comfort level, the power when you need it. It's perfect. And what's even more important is the fact that it gives you the fuel efficiency and reliability, because this engine, Honda has used it in so many vehicles and for so long. So at this point, it's bulletproof. The MDX had it. It's a solid built engine that it's going to last forever. And I think that's another thing that I appreciate about this vehicle, is the fact that it still has a 3.5 liter V6 naturally aspirated. It didn't go 4-cylinder hybrid. Turbo engines do not last as long, because at some point you have to change the turbos. They might fail. So the maintenance is not going to be the same as this. These things will live forever. The 10-speed automatic transmission from Honda is superb. The all-wheel drive system, IVTM, the new one, is just as great. It delivers 70% of the torque to the rear wheels, and it can spread 100% of that across the rear tires. You've got driver assistant package with lane assist, gap assist. You can turn it on. Currently, as I'm driving, the system, it's dirty at the front, so it's picking up the sensor. It's completely covered, so it doesn't work as well. But you have that, and you've seen it, like, will make sure it keeps you within the lanes, not moving left and right. The steering is super light. As a driver, you don't feel like you're sitting on the car, but in the car. For me, this sitting position, it's almost at the perfect level, so I'm not sitting too high, not too low, and I have it all the way to the bottom. And I'm 6'2". Visibility is just as great. You've got a larger window at the back, larger windows on the side. Even when you turn your head, you've got 3 windows in the back. It's a well-rounded vehicle. You feel a little bit of the body roll, especially with these tires. They're not as firm on the road. They're more wobbly, and also I've lowered the tire pressure because we went off-roading. I like this. I like this quite a lot. I think this is one of the best SUVs that I've driven this year. And I think one of the best SUVs that you can buy for the money, unless you're looking for 3 rows. What's even better is the price.
In Canada, the base model Trailsport starts at about $57,000. Meanwhile, in the US, you're looking about $46,000. The difference is that in the US, the variety of trims is much larger compared to the one in Canada, which is mostly Trailsport. So I'm assuming in Canada, Honda is focusing more on the off-road side, hence why we have multiple Trailsport trims. Now, if you do the conversion between Canada and US, the Canadians pay less compared to the US trims, but you get more variety in the US. Next thing you need to know is that compared to other vehicles like the TRD 4Runner or a Bronco, the 2026 Honda Passport is priced perfectly in my opinion. Not the least expensive vehicle out there, but for what you get in terms of space, comfort, off-road capability, great engine, I think this vehicle is going to be an absolute hotcake for Honda.